Okay, so today we're diving into, get this, the Wall Street Bets daily discussion thread.
Oh boy, buckle up.
Right.
Good.
From October 15th, 2024.
Yeah, this one's a doozy.
So, you wouldn't think a random Tuesday in October would be like market moving, but
Not this Tuesday.
this was not this Tuesday.
Yeah.
Things got a little chaotic, to say the least.
To say the least. We're talking about the kind of day that, even the most seasoned investors, they're watching their portfolios like hawks.
Right, glued to their screens.
Glued, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, the Wall Street Bets crowd, well, they're in their element.
Yeah, chaos is their jam. So we're talking big semiconductor moves, meme stocks going wild.
Oh yeah, those meme stocks. Always a roller coaster.
And just for kicks, Google decides to make a surprise move.
Out of left field.
Out of left field. And that move involves nuclear power.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so where do you even begin with a day like this?
Well, the big story, the one that really seemed to throw everyone for a loop, was ASML, their earnings announcement.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Scrolling through the thread, it was just expletives everywhere.
It was not pretty.
People were freaking out.
For good reason. See, ASML, they're a big deal. I mean, they're vital. They're the ones making the machines that produce those high-end chips, the ones that power, well, practically everything these days.
Smartphones, computers, even cars now, right?
Exactly. So when ASML sneezes, the whole tech world catches a cold.
And this wasn't just a sneeze. This was like the flu.
Full-blown pandemic. Their guidance missed expectations, and not by a small margin. We're talking 50%.
50, that's what, like ordering a pizza and only getting half of it? The pizza's worth billions.
Something like that, yeah. The Fred was on fire. Everyone trying to understand what the heck happened.
So what happened? Spill the tea.
Well, a couple of things seem to collide. You got Intel, they're delaying orders. And then you've got Biden's new restrictions on selling chips to certain countries.
Right. So it's like a perfect storm. You've got these big players, Intel slowing down, and then you've got like geopolitical tensions in the background.
Exactly. And it created this ripple effect.
Yeah.
Nvidia, they're basically the poster child for these high-powered chips. Their stock tanked 6% that day.
Ouch.
The whole sector basically took a nosedive. It was a bloodbath.
Okay, yeah, you weren't kidding when you said this Tuesday was a wild one. And we're just getting started.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even touched on the meme stocks yet. And trust me, that's a whole other level of crazy. Oh, yeah. The meme stock crew, they were off to the races on this one.
Front and center, huh? Which one were they pumping this time?
Well, on this particular Tuesday, it was all about ZDJT.
ZDJT. Still kicking, huh? So what were they saying? I bet the comments were hilarious.
Oh, yeah. It was a classic Wall Street Bet spectacle. People were going nuts, posting rocket emojis, talking about Lambos. But then there was this other side, this anxiety. Worries about rug pulls, warnings about getting caught up in the hype.
Right, because those meme stocks, they can crash just as fast as they climb.
Exactly. So for those that aren't familiar with the term rug pull, basically imagine the price of a stock, it's artificially inflated, maybe through coordinated buying or misleading info. And then all of a sudden,
oof, gone.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The rug is pulled out, and everyone who bought in at the top, well, they're left holding the bag.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah. And what makes DJT so fascinating, at least from, an analytical standpoint, is that it embodies this tension between speculative frenzy and actual investment.
Right. It's driven more by like personality and social media buzz than, actual fundamentals.
Exactly. It throws a wrench into the whole traditional way of looking at the market.
It's like Wall Street Bets version of a reality TV show, You can't look away even though you know it might end badly.
Pretty much. And speaking of ending badly, were there any posts in the thread like about the ethical side of all this? Because this isn't just a game, right? People's actual money is on the line.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's great if you're the one cashing in, but what about the people who get left holding the bag when the music stops?
Right. And it seemed like some users were definitely aware of that, that moral aspect. There were posts about, the potential for smaller investors to get burned, especially if the price is being manipulated by whales.
Yeah, it's like swimming with sharks out there.
Exactly. And that's what makes these Wall Street Bets threads so interesting. They're not just about, buy this, sell that. It's a glimpse into how people are really thinking about and reacting to the market.
It's like a real-time snapshot of the collective mind of the market, warts and all.
Exactly.
Okay,
but let's shift gears a bit, because amidst all this, meme stock madness, something else happened that day, something completely out of left field.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier, Google and their nuclear adventure.
Right. Out of all the things happening that day, That was the one I really didn't see coming.
So Google decides to partner with a nuclear energy company.
Yep. A company called Oklo, to be exact.
Yeah.
And they're doing it to power their data centers.
Okay, I have to admit, when I saw that headline, I was like, hold up, did I read that right?
Yeah, it was one of those double take moments.
Huh.
So what's the big deal? Why is this such a surprising move? Well, for starters, data centers, they use a ton of energy.
Right, they're basically energy vampires.
Yeah, exactly. And up until now, the focus has been on renewables, like solar and wind, to try and meet that demand. But Google's move, it suggests that they're thinking, okay, maybe nuclear is a better option.
So this could be big, like a real shift in how we power the internet.
Potentially. And it gets even more interesting when you factor in AI.
AI, what does artificial intelligence have to do with nuclear power?
Think about it. AI, it requires massive amounts of processing power. And that processing power, well, it requires energy. A lot of energy.
Ah, okay, I see where you're going with this.
As AI becomes more powerful, more widespread, that energy demand is only going to increase. And renewables, they might not be enough to keep up.
So nuclear power to the rescue.
It's a possibility. And the WallStreetBets crew, they seem to pick up on this pretty quickly. The thread was suddenly full of people talking about uranium stocks, nuclear energy companies.
Like they always say, any news is good news if you can make a trade out of it, even if that news involves radioactive isotopes.
So, let me get this straight. We've got ASML throwing the semiconductor market into a tizzy meme stock mayhem with DLGT and Google's sudden pivot to nuclear power. It's like a roller coaster we can't get off of.
And that's the market for you, always full of surprises. But you're right, this particular day highlights how interconnected everything is. You know, one event like ASML's earnings, it can ripple out and affect everything from meme stocks to the future of energy.
It's wild. And it kind of makes you think, what does this all mean for, like, the average investor? Are we all just at the mercy of these huge forces, these global trends we can barely wrap our heads around? Well, there's always an element of unpredictability, right? That's the nature of the game. But that doesn't mean we're completely powerless. I mean, look at the Wall Street Bets crowd.
Right, those guys, they seem to thrive on chaos.
Exactly. But amidst all the memes and the jokes, you see these flashes of, genuine insight, this understanding of how these big trends like AI or geopolitics, how they actually play out in the market.
It's true, they might not be like Wall Street analysts, but they're paying attention. And they're not afraid to make bold moves.
And that's what makes them so interesting to observe, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're a reflection of how, for better or worse, investing is changing. It's becoming more democratized, more influenced by social media, more driven by these short-term trends.
So what you're saying is maybe we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss the Wall Street Bets crowd. Maybe there's something to be learned from their unique approach.
I think so. They might not always get it right, but they're not afraid to ask questions, to challenge the status quo, to push the boundaries of what's possible. And in a world that's changing as rapidly as ours, that kind of thinking, that willingness to embrace risk and adapt, it's more valuable than ever.
Yeah, I like that. Embracing the chaos. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the wild world of Wall Street Bets, what's the key takeaway? What should our listeners be thinking about?
I think the biggest lesson here is that the market, much like that Wall Street Bets community itself, it's constantly evolving. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. The only constant is change. And the best we can do is stay informed, stay curious, and maybe, just maybe, learn to embrace the ride a little bit.
Well said. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But hey, listeners, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on ASML's shakeup, the meme stock frenzy, or Google's nuclear pivot? Head over to our social media and let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember, the market might be unpredictable, but hey, that's what makes it interesting, right?